Today's top stories at NBR. Bioscience enters into an agreement to buy medical cannabis player. Rockier path to economic recovery predicted by NZIER. Record-breaking milk price forecast. And there's more coming right up. Kia ora and welcome to NBR Today, a wrap of the day's top business stories from the authority in New Zealand business news since 1970, nbr.co.nz. It's Tuesday, November 30th. I'm Paul Brennan. Thanks again for joining us. At his first press conference since becoming leader, Christopher Luxon emphasised that he was new to Parliament and rather than seeing it as a negative, it was an advantage. Our political editor, Brent Edwards, was at that press conference this afternoon. He joins me now from Parliament. So the National Party, Brent, have a new leadership team. How did it go, that press conference? It surely must have had to have set the tone for them.
Yeah, look, Christopher Luxon was pretty impressive. He was direct and quite fluent, and he made that very strong point, as you said in the introduction, that he was a new broom, and a number of people have talked about that. He's only been in Parliament a year, and will that inexperience be a big disadvantage for him? And he says not, and partly it's on the basis that we know for the last 2 or 3 years at least, the National Party has been riven by division, disunity and leaks, and really what Christopher Luxon says is he comes in as a new broom. He's not really connected with any of that stuff, so that's gone. As a new leader without any real involvement in it. And I guess, Simon Bridges was seen as a potential competitor, but pulled out earlier in the day and gave his support to Christopher Luxon, because if Bridges had got the job, it still would have raised all those questions about who's for him, who's against him. So in that sense, Christopher Luxon does come in with a clean sheet.
And Nicola Willis, his deputy, how does that play out for the electorate, that team, the combination?
Well, I guess one of the things, if you've got that mixture, Christopher Luxon's from Auckland, Nicola Willis is from Wellington. He's obviously a man, she's a woman. But also the question that was raised with him at the press conference, he is quite religious. And although, as he said, he's going to represent everyone, people shouldn't be elected on their faith or not elected on their faith, and he doesn't expect his faith to play a part in his politics. But given that, he's seen as conservative, Nicola Willis is seen as coming from the Liberal wing of the party. So I guess they're sort of covering off all of those areas to try and present a leadership team that is as broad-based as possible.
You've been around this a long time, Brent, so you're the right man to ask. How did it feel from your point of view?
Oh, look, it was in the end, given what happened last week and, just how awful that was for the National Party. Today, I guess, was in the end a very sort of kind of professional shift to a new leadership team. But the big question is, not so much how well will Christopher Luxon lead, and I'm sure he'll make some mistakes, as every leader does, no matter how experienced they are. But will he have the full support of the caucus? Now, previous leaders haven't. So while he says he's a new broom, and that's all in the past, that is going to be the big test that over the next weeks and months. Will that division and disunity and leaking that we've seen in the past, will that actually then disappear? That's going to be the big challenge, I guess, for him to help ensure that happens. But actually, it puts a big responsibility on the other MPs. Will they do their job and support him? That's the unanswered question at the moment.
Our political editor, Brent Edwards, joining us from Parliament. NZX-listed medical cannabis firm Bioscience has entered into an agreement to buy medical cannabis player Zalm Therapeutics for $10 million in equity. Zalm is a New Zealand-based company chaired by Rob Fife and 8.26% owned by a subsidiary of ASX-listed Can Group. Rua currently has 141.74 million shares on issue. NZIER is predicting a rockier path to economic recovery following the emergence of the new COVID variant, Omicron. Principal economist Christina Leung said Omicron had made what was already a fraught job of economic forecasting even tougher. She said so much is uncertain right now. Auckland will have spent 107 days in lockdown by the time the new traffic light system comes into effect on Friday. And on top of that, you have this new variant which is going to make it so much harder to plan ahead. ANZ Bank has raised its Fonterra milk price forecast by 60 cents to $8.80 a kilo of milk solids for the 2021-22 season, higher than the previous record price paid by the co-op in 2014. The bank said milk price futures were currently trading just above $9 a kilo, and there was potential for the price to reach that level, but this would require commodity prices to remain strong for the remainder of the season. Fonterra collects about 79% of New Zealand milk solids, and a payout of $8.80 a kilo would represent revenue for its farmers of more than $13 billion. Me Today Chair Grant Baker says a cash injection of $6 million from Cornerstone shareholders shows their confidence in the honey and cosmetics company despite its disclosure of a huge sales shortfall. This week, Me Today said its expected revenue from Manuka honey producer King Honey, acquired on June 30, would be just $5 to $7 million for the 9 months to March 2022. Before its purchase, King Honey was forecasting sales for the 12 months to March of $21.5 million, up from $16.5 million a year earlier. In a statement to the NZX this week, Me Today said the disappointing sales figure will create some cash flow pressure. As a result, shareholders MTL Securities and Jarvis Trust agreed to invest $3.75 million and $2.25 million respectively at $8.08 a share, subject to shareholder approval in February. The full details of those stories and more are at nbr.co.nz right now. Tomorrow at NBR, latest COVID variant supports Reserve Bank's cautious approach to lifting interest rates. And Bridget Morton's Right of Centre column covers the change of leadership in the National Party. I'm Paul Brennan. I look forward to being with you again tomorrow from around lunchtime for the morning's NBR trending stories. Then same time, same place, right here again from 5:30 tomorrow for another NBR Today.